Do you know the difference between the Jews and the Israelites? It can be a tough question, but it has an interesting answer. The Israelites were an intriguing people. They created the foundation of contemporary Judaism, but practiced a separate culture and had beliefs heavily influenced by the environment in which they lived. After all, no ancient civilization developed in a vacuum, and most borrowed ideas, practices, and even entire languages from one another. The Israelites originated in and lived around a region known as the Southern Levant, which covered the territory of the modern countries of Israel, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, and Syria. Israelites primarily lived before and during antiquity, before the Common Era. Different names are used to refer to the Israelite homeland, but all of these designations refer to the same group of people living in distinct kingdoms over the centuries. These kingdoms include Israel, Judah, and Judea. Different terms will also refer to the people who correlate with changing naming conventions over the centuries, including the Israelites, Judeans, and Jews. Israelite society developed over the centuries but managed to maintain some consistency through the years. For example, the Israelites were patriarchal, and most of the population were farmers, shepherds, or general laborers. Kings, nobles, and other wealthy men controlled politics and the development of an administrative government. They were frequently at war with their neighbors over territory and resources. They distinguished themselves from other cultures in the Levant through their religion, which involved worshiping a single god, who was believed to protect the Israelites as a people. The Israelites emerged during the Late Bronze Age, which lasted from roughly 1600 BCE to 1200 BCE, and indicated a time when metalworking with bronze was more sophisticated but on its way out. Indeed, the region from which the Israelites originated was one of the first areas around the world to learn metalworking with bronze. Historians can trace the Israelites to a time so far back in history that they were not even known by the same name and were not a separate ethnic group. Instead, they were members of a larger civilization known as Canaan and were called Canaanites. Canaan was a civilization that primarily existed during the Bronze Age before succumbing to the Bronze Age collapse that destroyed many civilizations throughout the Levant. This collapse occurred around 1200 BCE and could have happened for a variety of reasons. Historians speculate that the entire area crumbled due to invaders with better military equipment and strategies, devastating climate change that spawned earthquakes and poor crop harvests, the invasion of the Sea Peoples, and more. Archaeologists and historians possessed little evidence about the exact location and nature of Canaan until the late 20th century, when new dig sites revealed the civilization's clear boundaries. Like the Israelites, the Canaanites were a Semitic language-speaking group belonging to different ethnicities. They were polytheistic and shared many deities, linguistic patterns, diet, and other characteristics with their neighbors. Originally tribes and groups of nomads, the Canaanites eventually formed a series of city-states located around modern Israel and Syria. The Late Iron Age was a period of significant advancement from around 1000 BCE to 600 BCE, during which the kingdoms of Israel and Judah thrived. One of the key factors in this development was 2 centuries of unusually favorable climate conditions and changes that brought fruitful harvests and temperate weather, spurring a massive population boom. New settlements popped up throughout the area, and trade routes started to move exotic goods into both kingdoms. In Israel, the city of Samaria, now SEBAST, emerged as a strong player in the Middle East. The city appeared to be so prosperous that it drew the attention of Egypt, and conflict ensued. By the middle of the 9th century BCE, Israel appeared to be fighting against several of its neighbors for control of resource-rich regions, including the famous Jezreel Valley and Galilee. Their 2 main enemies for this territory were Damascus and Tyre, 2 major cities. Other military struggles came from the Assyrians of the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire and the Kingdom of Moab, which was just across the Dead Sea from Israel. Israel was one of the 11 kingdoms that fought against the powerful Assyrian king Shalmaneser III in the Battle of Karkar. Fought in 853 BCE, the Battle of Karkar possessed the greatest number of combatants seen in any military conflict in the region, and was also the first instance where numerous peoples were recorded, including the Arabs. Moab existed before the Kingdom of Israel and frequently clashed with the Israelites over the territory surrounding the Dead Sea and nearby freshwater rivers. Very little historical evidence remains of the state itself, but there are numerous records of battles fought over places like Galilee. Around 840 BCE, King MESHA of Moab celebrated a great victory over Israelite conquerors. Around 720 BCE, when faced with the threat of the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire, Israel crumbled, the city of Samaria fell, and the former kingdom became a weakened vassal state forced to pay tribute to its conquerors. While the Assyrians ruined Israel, the people of Judah continued to thrive. Around the same time, internal issues were mounting as well. Historians have found evidence that the southern highlands, which would go on to become the Kingdom of Judah, were divided along separate familial or tribal lines throughout the 10th and 9th centuries BCE. Consolidation did not begin until the reign of King Hezekiah, a notable biblical figure. During Hezekiah's time, the Assyrian king, Sennacherib, conquered Judah and laid siege to Jerusalem. King Hezekiah eventually died, like anyone, but not before performing one more major work, which set the stage for the future of Judah. Hezekiah decided to completely overhaul and reform the Judean religion. He purified the central temple in Jerusalem, reformed the priesthood, banned idols, and attacked the practice of idolatry, which was the worship of idols or statues believed to depict gods. The ebb and flow of two opposing religious forces would pull at the heart of civilization for the next few centuries, quite similar to the battle between paganism and Christianity in the Roman Empire. Judah prospered despite its subjugation, but all of this changed when the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire came under attack by the Babylonians. The death of the Assyrian ruler ASHURBANIPAL triggered an incredible amount of internal strife throughout the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire, and civil wars broke out. From the ashes of the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire rose the NEO-BABYLONIAN Empire, also known as the Second Babylonian Empire, around 626 BCE. When the Babylonians took over Assyrian territory, they naturally claimed the former kingdom of Israel and the entirety of Judah. Whereas before, Judah was prosperous and heavily involved in trade, it now became weak and disoriented. The entire infrastructure of Judah's capital completely collapsed, forcing many to wander away from their homes. This was a significant blow to the Israelites because their religion preached that Yahweh had selected Jerusalem as his permanent home, and that they would hold the capital in perpetuity. The majority of the people forced from Israel were the elites, including princes, priests, prophets, scribes, and other administrators. Many stayed together, writing or contributing to many sections of the Hebrew Bible, including the books of Ezekiel and Jeremiah. It is important to note that all of this literature neglects to state that the majority of the Israelites remained in Jerusalem under the rule of the Babylonians. Outside of Jerusalem, the Israelites suffered. Like the NEO-ASSYRIAN Empire, the NEO-BABYLONIANS needed to conduct regular military campaigns throughout its territory to maintain control. In 589 BCE, the city of Jerusalem once again came under siege. In 587, the city fell again to the Babylonians, who were ruled by Nebuchadnezzar II. At this time, the city and the temple were razed, and the entire administrative class of Jerusalem was banished or exiled to captivity in Babylon. Combined with the number of refugees who fled, archaeologists believe the Kingdom of Judah lost 8,000 people, or roughly a quarter of the entire population. As with all ancient empires, the Neo-Babylonians could not hold on to all the territories they captured from others. They kept many of their enemies at bay, but were no match for a new threat in the early 6th century BCE. The Persians under Cyrus II, also known as Cyrus the Great, who formed the Achaemenid Empire. The Persians reformed many of the law codes and their implementation throughout the region, resulting in the simultaneous redaction of the Torah and the suppression of a huge portion of Israelite heritage. The Christian Bible calls Cyrus the liberator of Judah, potentially for defeating the Babylonian conquerors. The Persians also brought a Zoroastrian influence that encouraged monotheistic thought. Like the Babylonians before them, the Persians fell, this time to Alexander the Great, who hailed from Macedonia. Alexander did little in the way of administration or actual ruling. He collected tribute like the Persians and had no problem allowing captured peoples to continue to practice their culture and religion, which allowed the Israelites to continue their worship of Yahweh. While the Israelites would eventually become part of the Seleucid Empire, this did not happen immediately. During the internal fighting between Alexander's generals, the province of Yahud came under the control of a man known as Ptolemy I. Due to a misunderstanding on his part, Syria and Judea went to Seleucus I Nictator, the satrap of Babylon. In general, the Israelites did not object to living under the control of the Seleucid Empire, so long as they remained capable of practicing their religion, now referred to as Judaism. The world was increasingly Hellenized in this era, and the Israelites were not immune to this change. However, some of them did protest it. Religious books speak of a full rebellion against the Seleucids, but many modern scholars believe it was a civil war between the Israelites who wished to be Hellenized and those who refused. The rebels triumphed against the Seleucids and entered Jerusalem. Judea slowly entered a new period under the control of the Hasmonean dynasty. This dynasty consisted of Mattathias and his sons, who claimed Judea and parts of the surrounding territory. During its initial years, the Hasmonean dynasty served as a vassal state for the weakening Seleucid Empire, but would eventually gain some autonomy before succumbing to the Romans to the west. The Hasmonean dynasty was distracted by civil wars when the Romans intervened, but it did not crumble immediately. A long-winded power struggle ended with the Roman Senate officially naming Herod the true ruler of Judea. Herod was a Roman client king of Judea, a ruler of a smaller territory who needed to answer to the Roman Senate. Herod would be known as Herod the Great and began what would be known as the Herodian dynasty. Although he improved and enhanced the Temple of Jerusalem, Herod received criticism from most of the population. He showed his loyalty to the Romans on more than one occasion. After Herod Archelaus, Herod the Great's son, was deposed, Judea came under direct Roman administrative control. Judea did not bring Rome much money, but it controlled the influential sea and land routes that connected Rome to Egypt, which was the region's breadbasket. It also served as a border province that protected Rome from its enemy, the Parthians. Over time, the control of Judea would shift from the Romans to a semi-independent state and then back into a destroyed community. The people would form several diasporas as their homeland came under the control of different conquerors. The nomadic lifestyle of the Israelites heavily influenced their religion, which became modern Judaism and was crucial in giving rise to Christianity and Islam. To learn more about the untold history of ancient Israel, check out our book, Ancient Israel, a captivating guide to the ancient Israelites, starting from their entry into Canaan until the Jewish rebellions against the Romans. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, grab your free mythology bundle ebook while it's still available. All links are in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.